2 weeks are left in the regular split, and only 2 playoff spots have been claimed. It's do or die for our squads in the clump, and it all starts with 2 teams close in the standings, Optic Gaming versus Counter Logic Gaming. Hello, everyone, and welcome to LCS Cooldown, where for 30 minutes we wrap up the spring split and check in on the weather until the timer reaches 0, and we jump into Champion Select. Countdown, of course, the name of the show. I'm so used to my other one. Week 8 kicks off with Optic Gaming looking to make their push for playoffs versus CLG, with Echo Fox and Cloud9 duking it out in Game 3, where Golden Glue makes his return to the LCS stage, followed by TSM versus a different Golden in Golden Guardians. Now, while we prepare for Week 8, the LCS Academy League are all set for playoffs. So let's hand it over to Pastry Time for a quick preview of the Academy postseason.
Thanks, Freak. In a final week of Academy play, Cloud9 secured first place in the regular season as the defending champions look poised to add another trophy to their collection this year. With resident LCS Smurfs Golden Glue and Blabber leading the charge, Cloud9 have found success all split long with the help of their new scouting ground support, Diamond. However, the rest of the league took a look at the LCS clump and had to say, that's not a clump, this is a clump. As Week 9 Academy started with no fewer than 6 teams stuck in a tie for second place, all vying for the remaining playoff spots. While the chaotic mess has now been untangled somewhat in the standings, teams are sure to struggle in the postseason against the C9 powerhouse. Taking now a look at some of their LCS counterparts, Liquid and TSM have had a lot of success in Academy this split. Liquid Academy's returning mid laner Insanity continues to play well alongside Mike Young and Matt. And TSM's investment in a Blaze Olive and new Scouting Grounds acquisition Tactical has also paid dividends, earning them second place and the remaining playoff bye. But for me, it's CLG Academy that has offered arguably the most surprises, not only sending Auto up into the LCS over Stixxay last week, but finding success with their longtime junior squad standbys, Tuesday and Fallen Bandit. These are the teams that I'll be looking at to potentially challenge the Titans, so make sure to tune in next Thursday and Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific to watch the Academy MSI quarterfinals kick off right here in the LCS arena. Time for a break, though, because when we return, Riv gives us a quick recap of the spring split, and we get another weather report as the regular season storm comes to a close.
No.
Perfect. I can't hear them.
You can't hear them at all?
No.
Hello, hello?
It's perfect.
You guys have about an hour and a half.
An hour and a
minute
half?
and a half.
Oh!
Holy shit, we have
Can we scrim our academy team?
Why don't I have
Good
the...
luck esports in this matchup.
Why don't I have the fuzzy or the foam thing?
Yeah. Where is it?
I don't know. I don't have it.
Dude, Core JJ is just staring me down. I can't look him in the eyes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, he's staring back.
Just wink at him.
You can't let him do that to you.
Yeah, you really think really hard about bot matchup here.
I've already thought hard. I'm done thinking.
LeBlanc is moving now. LeBlanc is... Okay, she's back mid.
Nice, nice. Good shit, good shit.
Nice. On me.
It's just Tom. I'm in lane with Ezreal.
LeBlanc can move now. LeBlanc is moving.
I'm coming.
Oh,
no.
Can he go now?
Yeah. I have TP, I'm looking TP too.
To get a...
No flash.
Lead no flash. I'm watching. I'm not gonna TP.
I'm gonna TP on.
You have to go now.
TK, no flash.
Yeah, keep fighting.
I'm on Lee.
Yeah, I'm good.
Let's go, Lee.
I'm killing Lee.
Kill Lee.
Nice. Dragon strike.
Take ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
J4 castles hold.
No flash.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking TP there. I'm looking TP.
His flash is up in 2 seconds. His flash is 2 seconds.
Got it. Bro.
Nice. Castle's got
Can you
down.
get spoke?
Yeah, keep poking.
I'm down to in.
German, can you poke
I'm
German?
going out. I'm going, guys. I'm ready. They're in. I'm in. Hey, Tista there.
Kill Cannon.
Keep fighting.
Yeah, Cannon. Lee. Keep going.
Slowly, guys.
Kill him.
I don't have damage really, but I can try.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm looking at TK. Kill. Hey, TK. Yeah. Go. TK. Ezreal.
They're in.
I'm gonna cook.
Hey, Tista. It's Rose.
Zarban.
Jebo.
I'm gotta go.
I can solo. I can legit solo this.
Okay, they're TPing. Can you guys come?
I'm coming.
Ready?
Ready?
I'm scared.
They're looking mid. Can Jeb? Yeah, Jeb. Yeah, I'm fine.
TPing. No flash.
It's over, boys.
Yeah.
It's a montage.
And Team Liquid once again shows that the best team in North America is the best team for a reason.
Off into the sunset after this, but no doubt was his hide a little tanner. Clutch will take on Liquid in our third game of the day, so don't miss it. And the final Great Escape slingshots us back to week 4, as Xmithy shows us why he is still one of the best against Golden Guardians.
Oh, nice sidestep from Xmithy, getting himself away from the arrow, but he's still going to be in some trouble here. A very nicely done stopwatch to avoid the play.
Beautiful. Xmithy continues to be a staple of the LCS and an incredible leader to any team he has been on. Today, Xmithy plays his career 400th professional game in the LCS when they take on Clutch. I'll be back with more awesome plays in the near future. So if there's a moment you think deserves a second look, send me your ganks, dives, outplays, misplays, wombo combos, rock'em, sock'em, jukes. I want them all. Tweet at lolesports and use the hashtag LCS. Now I am going to make a great escape.
Wow. Where did Riv go?
What was that?
We have no idea. Either way, if you're looking for the LEC tiebreakers, head over to watch.lolesports.com. In the bottom left, click the LEC tab. I'll miss you, but, you know, finding out playoff teams, useful as well. Speaking of playoffs, they're fast approaching in North America, and some teams are making some mad moves to prep for the offseason, resulting in quite a few roster shakeups. CLG are bringing back Stixay and Wiggly. Optic have swapped junglers yet again. Echo Fox have brought back Rush, and Cloud9 have reunited the Swole Bros. Golden Glue is getting his first start of the year. You heard about that on the dive. Quick shameless plug there.
Great. It was also up against Echo Fox, who's bringing Rush back in, so it's a great meme-filled battle, but they bring both these guys back in. And I think this is the perfect time to bring Golden Glue in up against one of the lower-placed teams in the standings. You'll be able to start working him into your lineup, hopefully pick up some wins so it feels good as you head into playoffs.
It's almost as if Cloud9 already has experience knowing when is a good time to substitute your players out in order to maximize what it looks like on stage, getting those results.
Right, they have the ability to do it, to try out different things, because they have a better record, to be fair, to other teams that have tried that. And as far as the meme war goes, I'm going to put my money on Rush as far as memeing. As far as a game, I don't know if I'll do that, but...
Don't spoil your prediction.
Enable all chat.
I haven't said what I did yet. Just a hint.
Golden Glue, of course, already won Academy Worlds last year, so maybe he'll go to regular Worlds this time around, or MSI. Either way, one more thing to point out, we've got a milestone update. Jensen is 1 kill away from 1,000 career kills. High's even on the list, down at about 799. And yeah, Jensen's pretty good at League of Legends.
It's not fair. In my defense, I'm only down there because I was playing support and jungle for a split or two.
You're too much of a team player.
Yeah, you know, I give away the kills to my old teammates, Sneaky and Medios.
Yeah, not surprised to see him kind of climbing up here finally. He's been on some of the best teams in LCS every split, feels like. Starting to come after some people above him. He should end up pretty close to Pobelter by the end of the split, unless Pobelter starts racking up some more kills.
I mean, this is as close as we got to like a Hall of Fame, right? You got 1,000 kills. It's a pretty big milestone. A lot of these guys have been playing since, God, since the start.
2013,
right?
yeah.
So I think a big part of it is you just have a lot of time in the LCS.
All right, so the question is, who does he get his 1,000th kill on today? They're playing Clutch Gaming. Is he going to solo kill the Monte? Or is he going to roam somewhere and get the kill instead?
I'll call it for first blood mid lane, actually.
Lyra tower dives. It's a failed dive. He gets the first blood. He's like, I didn't even work for that.
I'm saying apologize to him.
He plays Orianna, doesn't get any kills this game. Just a great team player.
Yeah, I want to see the 0-0-15 Orianna.
I played with him before. He saves his skills to get the last hit.
He ults the one guy.
He saves this damage.
They'll fountain dive the Nexus if that happens. They'll wait for a respawn and do it. Either way, of course, only 2 playoff spots have been locked down, with TSM next in line for that honor at 9 and 5. FlyQuest at 2 games back at 7 and 7, with Golden Guardians and Optic Gaming tied for 5th. The rest of the teams are still in striking distance of playoffs, and we'll see how that turns out with our last 2 weeks of play, with 1 to 2 matches to make up for those bottom 4 squads. Now, for a more in-depth look at the standings and a forecast of what's to come, let's send it over to Mark Z for another LCS weather report.
Thanks, Freak. Right now, we're tracking a particularly nasty front that is heading out of the SoCal area where Golden Guardians, Clutch, CLG, and Optic are locked into a massive storm that's heading towards St. Louis. It's still unclear which of those teams will pull free to join TSM and FlyQuest, who are so far managing to stay ahead of the system. out all the way in the Midwest, we do see Liquid and Cloud9 are positioned where it is sunny skies already. Now, we should switch over to our 4-day forecast where things are looking promising for CLG. A little stormy with the TSM, but their schedule should clear up in time for that all-important rematch, Week 9 push for playoffs. Meanwhile, Clutch Gaming are looking at the hardest remaining schedule. So let's check in with our man on the ground, the human weather balloon, Kobe, who's stationed with Clutch. Kobe, how are things looking out there?
Thanks, Mark. I'm right in the heart of the battle for playoff seeding. And as you can see, the speed and intensity have picked up here for Clutch Gaming. And the forecast doesn't show any signs of letting up as they prepare to face a gauntlet with the top 3 teams, Liquid, TSM, and Cloud9. They really are bearing the brunt of this playoff onslaught. And I'm being told they already have evacuated the Academy team. Talked a little bit ago, and they said, oh, at this point, it's really all about battening down the peripherals, stocking up on health potions, and trying to ride out the next 4 games as best they can. Oh, freak! All right, I'm being told we need to head down to the storm shelter. An Aurelia band is on the horizon, and they expect this storm to be upgraded to a Cat 4.
Be safe out there, Kobe. Please make sure you get somewhere safe with an internet connection. And we'll see if we can get him back on the line in a little bit. But we've got more to talk about. We're going to check in with Azael, who's on assignment with Cloud9 and Team Liquid. Azael, how's it going on the ground where you are?
Hey, Freak. Things are good here. You know what? Things are great here.
That's good, but talk to me about the teams. How's their mentality? How are they feeling about what they have to do the next 2 weeks?
Well, I haven't gotten around to talking to them just yet, but free drinks end at 6, so I was going to talk to them later. But I'd imagine they're feeling pretty good too. Cloud9 and TL have already locked down their playoff spot, and one more win for TL, they lock in a playoff bye. For Cloud9, this match against TSM this weekend, they win that, they maintain their 2-game lead, and they get their bye too. So yeah, they've got to be feeling pretty good.
But have you heard anything about Golden Glue, about substitutions?
Hey. What is this? I said no coconut. No coconut. Come on.
Okay. Thanks for the report, Azael. We'll check back in with you a little bit. Okay. Good for Team Liquid and Cloud9, I guess. We'll see who can weather that storm, but for now, we're taking a quick break. When we return, we have a look at what the bottom teams need to do to secure their spot in the postseason. Don't go anywhere.
I definitely do think that TL and C9 could be changed. TSM third, I don't really think that they're third. I'm not sure below that because it's all just random. I feel anyone could usually upset who. Like 100 Thieves though, they're probably last. Let's be real. You know, last split, we had 2 weeks left to make it to playoffs. And then we didn't make it to playoffs in those 2 weeks, you know, because of a Zillion game. So there's a potential to make 9-9 still and whip out Zillion and repeat history.
I like the idea of bringing up Zillion to repeat history. It's very thematic. Good job, Big, intentional or not. Welcome back to LCS Countdown, where the path to playoffs has 1,048,576 scenarios left, many fraught with danger for certain teams. So let's check in on some of those squads who need to pick up wins to have a chance in the postseason. Mark, so you're going to start with you. What's the team you want to bring up?
I want to talk about CLG because this was the team I thought was in a decent position to go into the playoffs until last weekend when they brought their subs back in and they went 0-2. And they had a video that came out, might have come after this, but included the scene beforehand where they're talking about how even if our subs go 0-2, part of the blame also lays on our starters for not putting us in a better position beforehand. But it seems so weird to me because they were up against Team Liquid, TSM, and C9, and they went 1-3, and then they brought in their subs who went 0-2 against teams close to them in the standings. And their subs have gone 0-4 every time they use them against very beatable teams. And this is who they have left now, and they can still make it, but I was super disappointed with last week. If they miss playoffs, I think that's the week I look at where I'm like, you shot yourself in the foot there.
I'm with you on that, Mark. I bought stock on CLG because their schedule looked so good for them to make it back onto the playoff race, but unfortunately, they decided to just throw it in. Going back to blaming the previous mistakes, I mean, if you want to be like, oh, why am I here? My parents made me, blame them, right? Like, you can just keep going. The list never ends. You can't do that. You got to stick to what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
Exactly, stay in the moment.
Right. As a player, that feels pretty bad for your coach to put like the blame onto you when you have tough teams. You just can't win every game. It should be like a teamwork kind of thing, you know? It's on the coach and the players. And if the coaches want more, you know, like power in a way or more credibility to them, they need to take fault for losses and wins as well, right? So it feels kind of bad as a player point of view to hear that.
Yeah, and of course, again, the main roster being 5-5 means they clearly are good enough to keep getting wins. Now they're sitting one game outside of playoffs.
Right, if you just extrapolated, which I know you can't exactly do, but based off the fact that they played 3 teams out of playoffs with their subs and went 0-4, if the roster was 7-7 right now, they're in playoffs in one of the best positions in the league if they just stuck with what everyone knows is their kind of best roster.
Yeah, and they can win most of their last 4, and they are likely to make that run. Let's move on. Teams, though, high. Who do you want to bring up?
Right. I think Optic Gaming actually has a pretty good chance of qualifying in. They have a very strong mid laner, Crown, one of the best in North America. And you need a pillar to bring you victories, and they can always rely on him. Outside of that, however, they also have 2 junglers that they can bring in and out depending on if they want to play Lee Sin or Sejuani. Like we've seen Midos' 60-minute power-up on Lee Sin, right? So we might want Dardoch's 10-minute power-up on Lee Sin in other games, that kind of stuff. And then they arguably have 3 relatively easy matches compared to a lot of the other teams in the split still, so I believe they have a pretty good chance of moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, a number of teams have like 3 opponents also battling for playoffs, and like you need to prove that you deserve to be there, and I think Optic has a really good chance as well.
I mean, with Crown, like you're having a world champion mid laner, that's just such a huge boost of confidence. Like I feel like if you're a jungler, you just know that I can just go mid. Like no matter what, I can go mid and I'm gonna be good. So that switch up, I don't think is such big a deal.
Yep. Okay, so Optic in a pretty good spot. Team I want to bring up is 100 Thieves here. I think they actually do have the easiest road ahead. They have 4 easy opponents, or at least the easiest you could kind of get here at this point. And I do want to point out that even though they are sitting in last, you think back to their losses, 3 of those 4 recent losses were to the top 3 teams in North America. Those are expected losses, and they made those games look close. You play the top teams in NA close, you should be able to close those games out against the weaker squads. A 4-0 run for the Thieves would not be unheard of. It would bring them up to 8-10 in striking distance of these squads. 8 wins right now would put you in playoffs, so I think they have a good chance at making the run at a 5th or 6th place spot. They also, looking at the records, would not lose any head-to-head tiebreakers against any of those squads up there, so a tie for 6th, if you're good enough, you just win that game and get over.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is they're the last place team, so anytime you say, like, their schedule looks easy, it's like maybe from another team's perspective,
Right.
But they only have a winning record right now against Clutch, who they have a 2-0 over, and I think they're 1-0 over CLG. And those are the only teams that they really have winning records over, 1-1 versus Golden Guardians. So it's not like they only got 0-2'd by the top teams.
Yeah.
They're losing to other teams too, which makes that strength of schedule, while easier than the opponents, you have to remember it is still coming from the 10th place perspective.
They do have to step up. I just think that they can, right?
Yes.
That level of player is too good to not have the chance stepping up.
In their last few games, there's been a lot of flack on a few of their players, and whether that was warranted or not, they didn't seem those strong, even though they're playing strong teams. And I think even if they have an easy schedule, they're also last place team, so wouldn't they be an easy opponent to beat from the other end from the players?
Yeah, I think you can look positively on either end, and we'll see which one actually comes out. Crumbs, you're the last one here. Give me a team you want to talk about.
Well, we were talking about easy strength of schedule. We're going to contrast it with the hardest strength of schedule there is remaining, Clutch Gaming. This schedule is as bad as Group C in Worlds, which is really unfortunate, by the way, but they have been onto a strategy that could legitimately allow them to become a dark horse. The Irelia in the bottom lane. Piglet has been playing this champion 3-0 so far. Teams seem to not care about it, and they are not banning it. So I'm expecting Clutch Gaming to double down on this. And are you asking me, is it too late to do it? Oh, maybe, maybe not. EU just played it yesterday, as we saw Fnatic in G2 game, and a non-standard AD carry bottom lane. I think this helps them out. But we have to be realistic with this. And what does it look like for Clutch Gaming to make it into playoffs? Okay, one team forgets to ban Irelia, another one throws, another one tilts, and then you play your heart out in the last one. You're looking at a playoff run right there,
What
my
a pitch.
friend.
Sounds like none of that was based off what they could do, just the enemy team.
And on top of that, we got to go with some actual odds for this, because we got to be realistic to the stats as well. So I'm giving Clutch Gaming's chances for playoffs 3 Aurelias to 11 Kaisas.
What does that like roughly break out to?
Odds out of this world.
Okay, because I would give them 0 Aurelius. I
Unreal.
think they have no chance. You're looking at that strength of schedule and who they have left. Team Liquid and C9 are both such difficult games. Like, even if they don't ban...
And TSM, I believe.
Yeah, even if they don't ban Aurelia, like, is Doublelift really going to get crushed by the Aurelia bot lane? I have a hard time imagining that.
They got to throw. That's the throw game.
Oh, that's the throw game. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, they're backed into a corner, right? And we know with bears, if you're backed in the corner, they're going to mess you up, right? So maybe Clutch Gaming is just going to secretly bring out the bear inside of them.
Yeah.
Great.
And to be fair, there, like you were saying, there are other things than the Aurelia you can play ball lane. We've seen people do the Yasuo and the Cassiopeia, Swain, Ryze. Why not? You can play whatever.
And to be clear, Clutch have to make up one game, even if the rest of the league goes 0, like all of the 9 teams go 0-4, they still have to make up a game on the way over, and then keep up with further wins against harder opponents than the rest of the teams play. So it is difficult, theoretically possible. We've seen crazy stuff. Either way, let's talk about predictions for the day. Probably not a lot of Clutch predictions here, I'm gonna guess. Games 1 and 5 have different predictions. Optic CLG, again, a really big battle for
What is High doing?
CLG is one game behind. Also, 100 Thieves over FlyQuest is a shock.
Honestly, I just wanted to try something new. I'm not gonna lie, Mark is really close to me in the standings, and I figured if I were to vote for FlyQuest, it'd keep it equal between us, like what we're voting for. So I want to make it a bit more fun.
Yeah.
I don't have that much faith behind
It's like you're
them.
trying subs out from ahead. Like,
yeah, it's like he saw your homework and then said, well, he can. If he's wrong, I can just choose the opposite, and I can be right.
Well, I think he's right, to be honest. I just want to have some fun.
Well, I said CLG, so you might not need it to. I might tank my own record.
So you just, or maybe we're just both tanking.
CLG, really? CLG.
Yeah, I think their starters are actually back in this week, which is one of the main reasons that they're not doing anything with subs. And I think Optic has looked better in recent weeks going for these really early game focused strategies, and I'm hoping they see that coming and they can ban out some of the Callista, Draven type stuff that's coming up from the bot lane.
See,
yeah,
I
the Thresh.
Well,
it is big Thresh, so I don't know.
But
yeah, still ban it.
I think a big difference is that when PoE was trying to carry on the rise, the team did not let him. It's like the team threw itself at it to prevent this guy from
glory,
winning.
you know, like
right?
when the game is ending, it pins on the Nexus. I like having my character inside of there, you know?
Yeah, you got to be.
I got to be there, otherwise I wasn't part of the win.
But for Optic, they tell Crown like, you can do it. We'll let you carry. You don't need to take the glory. We're fine letting you have them. I think that goes a long ways right now.
It was with the subs though, so you have to wonder like if Stixay was in there or Wiggly, maybe they would have been like, hey guys, let's not go try and cramp his style. Let Rise solo win the game. We just got to stop recalls. Hard to know.
Okay, well, game 1 is on the horizon. Let's send it over to Pastry and Azael for Optic versus CLG.
Thank you, Freak. I'm very glad that Azael has returned from his scouting trip, I guess.
I was working hard.
Yeah, that was a very quick flight as well. Whoever you got back. We are ready, of course, for Optic versus CLG to kick off week 8 of the LCS. As you can see, intended 5, I guess we'll call them, for CLG are back starting once again. But both these teams have a lot to think about as we move into the final weeks of the LCS.
Yeah, they really do need to start picking up those wins. Mark had been talking about it, though. CLG, with their, you want to call it, intended starting roster or assumed starting roster, is actually 5-5, right? It's with these subs that they really have been faltering, 0-4, when switching away from these 5 that we're seeing sitting here on the stage. So certainly do have a good shot at picking up a win here today. And both them and Optic really need to fight and scrape for every win that they can get, because we're in week 8 and there's not a lot of games to give.
Yeah, and Optic have an interesting approach, I guess, given where they are in the standings. We've seen 6-man, 7-man rosters before be somewhat effective in NA, but them really committing to using both Dardoch and Medius, 2 very talented players, I will have to add. And I think when Optic have looked good, I've actually been really impressed by the individual skill of their players. They've put together the ends of some games in maybe some more messy ways, but they have still picked up wins pretty scrappily. And I think if they can find a level of consistency, which they will need if they A, make the playoffs, and then B, perform well there, they could have